Welcome home, y'all. We're here for this week's MiniPod. I am your host, Tiffany Cross, along with my co-host, Andrew Gillum. I'll be honest with y'all, we did not plan what we wanted to talk about, but I was like, let's just hit record because I always have things I want to talk to Andrew about. There are always things for us to talk about. Okay, well, one thing I wanted to talk to you about, to be honest, Andrew, is Sinners, but you have not seen it yet.
I have Ryan Coogler's, I haven't. I have raved in all the news about how much it's earned. And,
oh my God.
It's top slot debut and all the hate. Like, help me on if we can't talk about the substance, can you please bring me to speed on why is it so great? Why are
I don't want to spoil it. I think, and I don't want to talk about it a lot because I want us to have a deeper conversation once you've actually seen it, because the symbolism and history in this film is just beautiful, and it's the movie we need right now for this moment. But I surmise that because a lot of the coverage for the film, you guys, the opening weekend, it was, this film grossed $65 million, but Warner Brothers paid X amount of dollars. So long way before it's profitable. And what a strange way to frame a successful movie, And that wasn't the only one. There was headline after headline that kind of downplayed its success, that cautioned excitement around it. And I had not seen the film. Once I saw the film, I said, okay, now I see. They're like, we cannot have all these black folks going to watch this film. And because a lot of the people who liked it, who don't look like us, I was looking like, I wonder what you're getting out of the film. What did you understand this film to mean? And I felt the same way about Get Out. I'm like, all these people who love Get Out, I'm like, when the Kardashians said how much they love Get Out, I'm like, what?
They miss most
precisely. Of What did the Kardashians love about Get Out, And it was kind of like that with Sinners. So we'll have a deeper conversation around it. But I think a good conversation we could have, if you want, is what goes into Black and Brown creativity. Because when the things that I've seen happen, like Master of None with Aziz Ansari, was one of the best shows. I mean, it was just so well done. That's how we came to know Lena Waithe. I mean, it was just a really well done show. And it's like, yes, that's what happens when executives get out the way and just let brown people create. On some of our shows that we've seen, Insecure, I would say is a show like that. Lovecraft Country. My God, Lovecraft Country. Oh, man.
And why did that go away? Okay. I'm still struggling.
The second season of Lovecraft Country was going to be called Supremacy. I'm so mad. And so the reason why I've heard is HBO executives describe Misha Green as difficult, which of course makes me, I'm like, anytime you start describing us as difficult, I want to know what exactly the situation was.
I want to know, what did they disagree with you about?
Right.
What did they say no to?
And even with Ryan Coogler with Sinners, like, he broke the bank on these people. And, to me, whatever he got paid, it wasn't enough. They're going to more than make their money back on this film. But it also just casts a wide net of influence over creators when we support high quality work and the level of detail that Ryan Coogler paid to this film. There's a moment where you'll see Chinese characters who are Southern Chinese folks living in Mississippi. And you know this, Andrew, that yes, that is a part of Southern culture. In Louisiana, there's a huge Vietnamese community, after the railroads and, kind of like how these populations came to be and how they came to be shaped. I follow a platform, Next Shark, on Instagram that gives API history. So I don't know. I say all that to say we're in a very unique moment in history where we are side-eyeing other communities. Where it's like, I don't know, you might have voted for this man and I can't really rock with you. Like, I got to go insular and only deal with black people, only talk to black people. And I certainly feel the most comfort there. But I know people within the API community who fight against anti-black sentiment, who fight against racism, who are allies. Like, I have given them the title of ally. They've earned it, and I've given it to them. I know people in the Latino community who also are black folks, y'all. There's Latino, there are black people, and then there are black Latinos. There's a Venn diagram.
Which are the majority.
Right. Latino community had their own white folks. In places like
Cuba.
Precisely. In Dominica, in Puerto, and everywhere. There are black, the slave ship stopped everywhere. And some people,
absolutely.
You have Afro-Colombians.
And who was on that ship, by the way, looked different in different places. In some places, they were Asians who were on those slave ships under indentured servitude and still treated and employed under slave labor. You talked about, the railroad and the building of that, the connecting of the East and the West, and how it is that, Asians occupied so much of these rare places that you would find, these buckets of community. On the creative piece, because I don't think of myself as a creative and am certainly not inclined to even think so, but I have been watched rather, and I don't know which app it's on, but it interviewed all of these Black actors. First, the men and then the women.
Top of the call sheet, I believe.
Oh God.
Yeah.
If y'all haven't, which platform is that
Apple,
on?
I believe it's Apple.
Okay, is that Apple TV?
Apple, give us some money because we giving y'all a whole free commercial.
I just gotta say, I was so moved watching and drawn to tears and other forms of emotions as I listened to these A-list Black actors, names that we would all know, off the dome.
Yeah.
And how they reflect on their experience in an industry that wholly didn't value, and I say didn't as if it's past tense. I think it's still true, don't value, but certainly, in the moments that they're reflecting on, it's clear didn't value. I mean, Angela Bassett in that Tina Turner biopic, I'm still mad when I was reminded, of the sleight of hand that she was handed at that time for acknowledgement of the hard work that's required that our folks do. But I think, Tiff, in so many ways, our creatives make it look so seamless, almost so effortless, like you underappreciate the amount of energy, effort, concentration, discipline that they had to exhibit to get that job done.
And study.
It's so underappreciated.
Like Viola Davis is a Juilliard graduate, and she talks about studying at Juilliard and how, having to learn different dialects, having to learn the British dialect, having to learn Southern dialects. And it's like, well, why didn't white people have to learn different African dialects? Why did we center whiteness in our craft? And it's so true. The way that's centered in everything. We were talking a bit this week on the podcast about, cable news executives, and still what is centered is white perspective, white life, even when they talk about evangelicals, the white is silent. You assume evangelicals are with Trump because you're only thinking about the Billy Graham wing of evangelicals in film. You're only thinking about white perspective, that infamous clip of Toni Morrison being interviewed and the woman saying, but you don't center white people in your books, as if that is the starting point, you're doing something
that's
right.
the criteria for sure.
Can we, I have a,
and also when in politics, before you leave those examples, in politics, we say the real America.
Yes.
Get out and talk to real Americans and what people, commentators and analysts mean when they say, the real America. Well, Black people are working blue collar jobs and are disaffected in all parts of this land. Yet you got to go to the heartland, quote, to meet real Americans.
Yeah.
That they don't exist. Real Americans don't exist in cities.
Yeah. Real Americans. I'm so offended by that entire notion, but that is like the thought process. That's the defining thought process. For so many people. But I have a request. One, I want you to see Sinners so we can do a whole MiniPod about Sinners.
I will, absolutely.
But Sinners has me so inspired. I would like us to rewatch Lovecraft Country.
To rewatch? I'm down to rewatch it. I thought it was powerful, and I couldn't believe that the viewership, if that were it, was so lackluster that it was so beautifully done. The acting.
Oh my Lord. One of the best pieces of Aunjanue Ellis.
Aunjanue.
But there's a woman who also plays in Sinners, and I don't know how to say her name, but she is so strikingly beautiful. She's actually British, and I don't know where her country of origin is from, but she was born in the UK, and I'm going to look it up because I want to give her flowers. I know her name, I just don't know how to pronounce it.
Everything I've seen her
She's amazing.
If there were a talent who was underrated, it would be her in Hollywood.
An Oscar winner. She's amazing.
Bar none.
And she loves you. Remember we ran into her at Tamron Hall show. We were
at Tamron's show. But I'm a fan, but I'm a sincere fan of her craft, of her work, of what, Journey Smollett, another one who I thought.
In Lovecraft Country. And her sister is played by Wunmi Mosaku. Forgive me if that's not how you say her name. But Wunmi Osaku, who got the Chicago accent she did it very well. In Sinners, she got that Mississippi Southern accent. She's just an amazing actress, but strikingly beautiful. I just can't stop looking at this woman. I think she's, I think we're going to see more of her. But I would like us to rewatch Lovecraft Country because it was one of the most beautiful pieces of television I'd ever seen. And it really tapped into my imagination. It shaped how I saw things. The Name Yourself episode that censored Aunjanue Ellis. I don't want to give it away if you all haven't watched it. It's years old, though. I feel like we should be able to talk about spoilers. But I would like to invite you all to watch it with us.
Yeah, dig in.
It is so good. Jonathan Majors.
It's mind shifting. That's what creatives should do. Like we always talk about the imagination and how we reach a whole nother level of like the imaginative and the reimagining. They did that for us and reset a context and a set of experiences historically based in some cases, otherwise, in some instances, derivatives of. It's powerful, and I think that they're the ones who peel the scales off of our eyes and allow us to see things more beautifully. If to imagine things more beautifully, and I thank them for that.
Yeah, that's true. Just we offer our gratitude for what they do on the screen, what they bring to their craft, the seriousness. When you see BTS footage of Ryan Coogler on all of his films, from Fruitvale Station to Creed to Black Panther to Sinners, he is involved at the molecular level. He is
like that.
His hands are on everything. He is from the cinematography to the type of film they shoot on. To the actors, to working closely with the actors and the storyboard, and he put such thought into it. And I think anytime that you're devoting that level of detail to your craft, that we owe you our attention. I'm not at the theater like this on my phone. I'm not, chopping onions in the background at home. I sit and honor the work of the folks who poured their heart into it. And so I don't like going to the theater.
I understand Barry Jenkins to be similar, a Miami boy, but and The Lion King and even in illustrations and in playful ways, still incorporating the richness of us. Like if you get the subtext, they don't make it hard for you to be able to access it. Yeah. But if you're willing to get the subtext, it makes your spine stiffen a little bit.
Completely.
When you are consuming that kind of thing. It's like, all right, I hear myself, I see myself. This is not some caricature of who I am, but rather a more true reflection. It's empowering, especially when you get to see it on a big screen.
You have an appreciation for film the way I do, because we will at random act out an entire scene. And
totally.
All the words, the intonation, everything. We both we are into content. I just thought about that as we're talking about this. Yeah.
It's true,
we did a whole, Andrew and I were walking in Midtown, New York, and acted out the entire scene of Dreamgirls. I don't remember which it was.
God. I was like, I'm trying to think which one it was. Holy God.
It's so ridiculous. I don't even remember, friends. But it was so ridiculous. But that's not we've done several movies together where we just will randomly act out a scene.
Boomerang used to be my go-to for a long time.
I don't think we've ever done Boomerang.
I had to give it up for a while. I was like, you can't be Eartha Kitt always. Marcus darling.
Yes.
I don't have any panties on.
Lady Eloise.
The Stranger. Those are some characters, man.
Those are classics. Those are our classics.
Oh, God.
Like, I love Coming to America. Those are our classics.
Oh, yeah. But I would tell you, Boomerang, though, really, it just shifted my mind around possibility. I had not seen a film with the whole big A corporate building in New York looking, tall skyscraper.
With all black people in there.
Where black folks owned all the floors, that you're in. From security, all the way to the executive. It was us.
To the mailroom. To Chris Rock working in the mailroom.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, shout out to Eddie Murphy for that. To really opening, because we were young. We weren't entering our career. We were in like middle school and high school at that time. So to see something like that as a possibility, and then to turn that possibility into a probability, to enter institutions of higher ed, to explore that, what an amazing.
And that's to say nothing about the soft porn,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I want to ask Loren, our EP is suggesting, and I like this. This is our call to the listeners and viewers. What is a classic movie or TV show that transformed you? That you saw it and it was like, wow, this really tapped into something for you. And give us the name of the TV show or the movie and what it was about that. You can drop it in the comments. You can send in a video. And we can pick this because I'm sure Angela has film too, so we can pick this conversation up with her. But
why don't you lead us off, Tiffany? What? I'm sure I know the list is long.
Lovecraft. That
for sure. That was it. Yeah, that was for you.
I mean, I have others, but just in recent history, the Name Yourself episode in Lovecraft, where this woman essentially had lived 1,000 lives and had traveled through 1,000 years and acquired this knowledge and learned the ways to harness energy and to self-define in a way that takes you to such another level. Astronauts describe it as the overview effect, that once you transcend out of this earth and you look down at this planet and you see all there are billions of galaxies all around us. And the overview effect makes you consider that, man, just last week, I was this little tiny person worrying about paying taxes and my mortgage. But then when you broadcast out in the macro on a whole other level outside the universe, and you realize I am but a tiny grain of sand in the hourglass of time, 1 billion people existed before me, 1 billion people will exist after me. What is it that I am doing here? What is it I'm meant to be doing here? How do I self-define? How do I harness this energy that will likely live on forever? Will I go on to live 1,000 more lives? But that was the overview, but also in the granular, the Mother Earth incarnateness of Black women, that we are warriors, healers, shamans, and have always had we birth Black men. We love Black men. They're our counterparts. We are on equal footing. But we are the pathway to life and what that meant for her. And the one thing that could bring her back to this tiny little planet Earth was her child, the love for her child. She had to go back for her daughter, but she came back with all this knowledge. And I'm telling you, Andrew, you and I have had conversations about this. Me, you, and Latasha had that conversation. It wasn't a movie, but it changed my life about tapping into your imagination. I won't get into it because I told the story so many times on the podcast. But Andrew and Latasha had the most beautiful exchange about what it means for Black people to tap into our imaginations. So that episode of Lovecraft Country made me tap into my own.
I love that. Whoa.
And it's something I'm still working through in how to harness my own energy. Like I'm over here, like I don't have the energy or time to get in a back and forth on a cable news platform. That seems so small to me. I don't have the energy or time to focus on every insult doesn't deserve my response. Every short tone doesn't deserve my attention. Every negative person, every negative comment, every little strife. If somebody got a beef with me, that doesn't deserve my energy. How am I harnessing my energy to create something almost metaphysical?
I love
that. Watch Lovecraft. Y'all watch Lovecraft, you'll get what I'm talking about.
I'm on another, So
they got ours.
Shit, mine's so simple.
Boomerang was good. That was good.
Boomerang would not be the one I would reflect on. It would be definitely a different world. And that's simply because coming from a family that didn't have a tradition of going to college, in my immediate household, it gave me the goal to go to college, to go to Hillman very specifically. And all the way through believing that Hillman was a real place up until I started sending my SAT scores out, and I'm looking for the codes. And Hillman wasn't one of the codes. Yeah. And it tripped me up.
Yeah.
And that was the only moment, 11th grade, was when I realized it was fake.
Yeah.
That it was the amalgamation of all of our HBCUs. There wasn't one place, but that this is a life that can be experienced at many places, but exclusively at an HBCU.
Yes. That's so true.
And that's what set my sights there.
There was no other option for me. Like, I had to go to HBCU only because of a different world.
That's it. I had to go to Hillman.
Yes.
And then I got my heart broken.
Well,
No. Ultimately, I went to my Hillman.
You went to Hillman. We lived in Wakanda. You went to an HBCU. You lived in Wakanda. You had your Wakanda experience at FAMU. I had my experience at CAU. And I think the other thing about a different world also is what it meant to be among community. You know, like what it meant to be with us and to know that there was every different type of Black person on the planet. You know, there were the super religious people. There were like the skateboarders. There were like the West Coast people who were like gnarly dudes. There were
unrelatable.
Wealthy, the Black American princess. So I'm like, you got a car for, you know, at you down here in a Jaguar that your dad owns like dealerships, plural.
And Chanel's and all this, you know.
Yes.
It's like, what?
It helped shape my worldview here. So, yeah. But you know, someone said.
And to people who don't understand what it means to be reflected in that way. Yeah. I mean, it's such an undervalued statement when I hear people say, you know, to see yourself reflected, because I often wonder, are the other people who are in earshot of hearing you say this really grasping?
Yeah.
Because if you're the majority and you have always been the image that's reflected, I kind of feel like the only time you know that this is a privilege, and maybe you don't even give it its credit, is maybe when you're in a room as a white person, you look around and you realize you're the only one. You don't realize it. You know it from the moment you enter it.
Yeah.
And then I often used to say to some of my colleagues, like, now you get a semblance, maybe just a little inkling of what I get to experience, literally going every day in and out of the day.
Most times.
As a mayor or a commissioner or whatever, or in this room at these seats and at these tables of power and decision and influence, and to be there and to never see yourself walk through the damn door.
Yeah. Yeah.
Never a presenter. Never the option that is on the menu of options of what we could decide or choose.
That's so
that
true.
Only until then do you get to really grasp the significance of this statement, what it means to see yourself reflected.
That's so true, Andrew. That's so true. Okay, well, you got our thoughts. I just want to add one quick thing.
Give us yours.
We want to hear your thoughts.
Yours, y'all.
But something that we can, when we hear you all's thoughts, something we may want to revisit. Someone said they made a comment on my post that Dwayne and Whitley's relationship was toxic. And I have since revisited that. She was. Remember she kissed Ron? Like, she went out with your best friend and kissed him in your face. Like,
hey, you got her back at the wedding altar. You want her back.
He ruined her wedding. He was like, please, baby, please. Like, but that was, when you, as a grown woman, I'm looking at that like, damn, she was interesting. She was a little toxic. I hadn't
analyzed it that way yet. So this is why we want and need the feedback from y'all, our listeners, because it may put a whole new spin on the thing that we thought we knew.
Totally. All right. Well, they're telling us we got to go.
Thank you for leading us here.
I know. We didn't even know. I knew we would come up with
I wasn't really sure that I wanted to talk about creators, but I really did.
See?
Thank you.
See? I like when we just hit record. We always have stuff to talk about.
It's also possible that I'm willing and really able to talk about anything, just like you are.
Yes.
What do you want to do today?
Yes. We flow. We always have stuff, whether the cameras are rolling or not, we always have stuff to talk about. Sometimes I wish there were just cameras rolling with us and they hit record. Because some of our best conversations is as we're having food gasms when we've found a great restaurant and we're eating.
When we take a good walk.
Yes. Well, I love my walks.
Good walks are always good.
I love my walks.
Yep. And on that note, y'all
everybody know about those walks. Because when you see the cousins leave at Thanksgiving to go for a walk, if you win that walk, you better get to getting when that walk happens or you're going to miss the walk. Anyway, thank you guys. Welcome home. Thanks for tuning in. And we'll see you next time on the MiniPod when Angela's back. Be sure to check out State of the People, you guys, because she's out there hitting the pavement and you'll see us on tour as well. If you like this episode, Share it, post it, comment, talk about it, subscribe, tell your friends to listen, and be sure to spread the word. This is how we can create more content and be here in conversation and community with you all. We'll see you next time on Native Land Pod. I'm Tiffany Cross, here with my co-host Andrew Gillum. Welcome home.
Andrew Gillum, and welcome home, y'all.
Native Land Pod is a production of iHeart Radio in partnership with Reason Choice Media. For more podcasts from iHeart Radio, visit the iHeart Radio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.